Okay, so everyone, welcome. We've had a bit of a welcome already. Please put all Q&A and chat in the chat box. So we can just continue to use this webinar chat box, and at the end, just write your. I'm glad you're here as well. And we'll just go through all the questions at the end, so that I don't keep stopping. Okay, so from this session, what you will walk away with is an evidence-backed 7-step autism action plan, which will address the root causes of your child's symptoms. And if you WhatsApp me the word, so a lot of you should have been getting WhatsApps. So WhatsApps where they've got like the WhatsApp confirmation and then the WhatsApp reminders for this webinar. If you go to that message, that conversation, and write the word slides, you will get a summary copy of these slides. So you don't write it in the Zoom chat box. Go back to the WhatsApp conversation with me where it's with Autism Brain Empowerment, and write slides there, and you'll get a summary copy of the slides. And if you've done that, just write here that you've got the slides so that other people know it's working as well. So yeah, if you WhatsApp me the word slides, you'll get a summary copy of these slides with all the 7 steps detailed on it. If you don't have WhatsApp, you can always email me at that email address, hello@autismbrainempowerment.com, and I will email you the slides. Okay, so let's get started. So first, okay, recent Anna had got the slides, so just WhatsApp the word slides and you'll get it. Brilliant. Ask me to got it too. Okay. So first, am I talking to the right people? Are you in the right place? So write yes to any if you relate to any of this, write yes in the comments in the chat box. Are you struggling to understand your child's needs? Does your child only eat a few safe foods? And you are so anxious they aren't meeting their nutritional needs? Or maybe your child is just eating 1 bite of food a day, and you're so worried about them losing weight or dropping their weight percentile. Or they're overeating every day to the point of making themselves sick. Or perhaps you're struggling with your child's sleep. Is your child taking hours to go to sleep at night? Or are they spending periods of time at night just wide awake? Is your child struggling to learn how to speak? Has your child had months or even years of speech and language therapy, but they are still non-verbal? Do you have a child who is so anxious or so aggressive that they are always hurting themselves, or they are always wetting themselves? Or a child who regularly experiences meltdowns from a sensory overwhelm or sensory underwhelm? So write yes in the chat box if any of this is resonating with you, and I can see a lot of people have written yes. Or perhaps your child was speaking, eating, and sleeping well, but out of nowhere, they have had a regression between the ages of 12 months to 3 years, where they've lost all of these skills they once had. And you're now terrified about whether they will ever develop these skills again. So write R in the chat box if your child experienced a skills regression between 12 months to 3 years. Okay, so got some R's. Yes, some R's, yeah, and yeses. Has your child been waiting years on an NHS waiting list to get an official autism assessment? Or sitting on another NHS waiting list to begin a treatment? Or has your child started NHS treatment and was discharged too early? Or were their appointments too far apart to make a difference to your child? And how many of you have a child who has an official autism diagnosis from the NHS, but that hasn't really unlocked any extra help or support for your child, and your child still has a developmental delay? You are at your wit's end. You want to support your child, but you don't know what to do, and you're really not getting anywhere with the NHS. You're scared for your child and what their future will look like. Are they going to be able to go to a mainstream school? Will they ever be able to go to university? Will they ever be able to get married or have a strong friendship group during their childhood years or as adults? I understand I was in your shoes too. My child had all of those autism symptoms I mentioned, and he had a developmental delay. He ate one bite of food every few days and he dropped weight percentiles. He lost skills. So at 18 months, he was able to name all his colors, but when he regressed at 20 months, he lost that skill. He was also able to wave and say a few extra words, but again, he lost all of those skills in the regression. He also had a gross and fine motor delay. He also seemed to survive every day on just a few hours of sleep and was just wide awake in the middle of the night. He stimmed, and he had a speech delay. And his teachers constantly told me they don't think he understands them. And as a parent, I was terrified. It was all I ever thought about, and it felt like all I ever spoke about to my husband and to my friends. He had one appointment with the NHS speech and language therapy before they discharged him, as he couldn't concentrate well enough for their appointments. He had a 30-minute appointment with an NHS physiotherapist and occupational therapist every 8 to 12 weeks, which really isn't going to be enough to help him. And despite presenting early, after his first appointment, I felt like the appointment was more about limiting my own lifelong expectations for him rather than spending that time to actually help him. And I realized no one was coming to help me. No one cared as much as me. No one else would be as affected as me if my son stayed developmentally delayed his whole life. And in these situations, it's usually the mother who becomes the child's lifelong carer. I have 2 degrees from the University of Bristol, and one of which is in dentistry. And while there, I also won the Clinical Research Prize in my year group. So I decided I had to be the one to help him. So I used all of my skills and background to learn as much as I could about the biological causes of autism, to learn why he was having these symptoms so that I could help him myself. So a bit about me. I live in Hampshire in the UK, just outside of Southampton. I'm an award-winning researcher from the University of Bristol. I hold 2 science degrees, including one in dentistry from the University of Bristol, where I studied neuroscience and neuroanatomy as part of that 5-year degree. I'm the #1 best-selling author of Unlock Autism, which was published on the 13th of June 2024. I'm a TEDx speaker, so if you WhatsApp me the word TED, you will be sent a link to watch my TED Talk. And again, that's on the WhatsApp conversation, not on Zoom. I've also won the Hampshire Business Award for Community Health and Wellbeing Impact. For this 7-step plan that I'm about to show you, I've won 2 national awards in Youth Services and Mental Health Award for this 7-step autism action plan. I won the Neurodiversity Support Program of the Year, again, for this 7-step autism action plan. I've been featured in NBC, Yahoo News, Authority Magazine, Discover Magazine, and Islam Channel. And I unlocked my own autistic son's potential, transforming him from non-verbal and developmentally delayed to a confident chatterbox who meets all his milestones through this 7-step autism action plan. And I'm now an autism parent coach where I've worked with so many parents across the world to help them do the same for their child. And I've spoken about the success of this plan with Stephen Bartlett, who's a dragon from BBC's Dragon Den, and he's the host of the Diary of a CEO podcast. These are my core values, which spell cherish. I work closely with my clients, so I want to make sure that we align on core values. If you WhatsApp me the word values, you'll be sent this to see if you, and you can go over what my core values are. Now, let me ask you, What would it mean to you if your child is able to say, I love you? How would it make you feel if your child is able to tell you a story about their day? What would it mean to you if you saw your child is relaxed and playing nicely with their own friends? And how would it change your life if your child's able to say why they are feeling how they are? And how would your family life change if your child no longer has a sensory overwhelm or a sensory underwhelm? Could you perhaps go on those family holidays you always wanted to when you dreamed of starting your own family? And how would your professional life change if your child is now sleeping, achieving their developmental milestones, and eating a balanced diet? And what would it mean to you if your child's able to thrive in a mainstream primary or secondary school? Now, let me tell you how I made this a reality for my own family. Once I realized that no one was coming to help me and that no one cared as much as me, I thought about my son's future and my future for him as his main carer. If I didn't change anything, what was his life going to look like in 6 months, 12 months, or 5 years into the future? Now, how about for you? What would your child's life look like or your family life look like in 6 months, 12 months, or 5 years down the line if you don't do anything right now? And that's when I committed to helping my son myself. So I used my award-winning university research background to spend every single moment reading international research papers to learn about brain development and the biological causes of autism to see if there was anything out there that I could do to help him. I learned about other case studies and success stories where autistic children who were developmentally delayed reached their milestones, overcame their symptoms, and how they learned to develop their emotional intelligence. I learned about diet, chronic inflammation, leaky gut, heavy metal toxicity, environmental toxins, the cerebellum, epigenetics, twin studies, methylation, the mitochondrial theory of autism, and I absorbed everything. 18 months of consistency later, my child was thriving. He's now 7 years old and is happy to attend parties independently and takes part in the games. He now has his own friends. He no longer has a gross motor delay and he's able to understand, concentrate, and progress in learning new skills. He attends a mainstream school and is in year 2, and he can read and write sentences at the expected level. And early this year, he won the Writing Star Award in the whole of Key Stage 1 for his writing skills and imagination. And we can go on family holidays and family days out. He's no longer defined by his autism, and I don't have to tell people he's on the spectrum since he doesn't really show those signs now. And we're just all way more relaxed and happier now that our son is meeting his milestones, sleeping through the night, and eating a balanced diet. And I'm no longer as afraid for his future. I'm now equipped for the future if a new symptom or difficulty arises, that I know this isn't the reality for most parents. I come from a science research background, so I know how to evaluate research papers and clinical trials. I did most of my research during an extended maternity leave with my second child, so I wasn't working full time at the time, and this gave me more time to focus on my research and try things out with my son. And I know this information is hard to access, especially if you don't have a neuroscience background, if you're working full time, or if you have other children to look after. And that's why I'm hosting this masterclass, because I want you to have this too and to learn about the 7 steps I took to make this a reality for my son. Are you ready to learn how I did this for my son and for my clients' children? So, in this value pack 60 minutes, I'm going to share how I made this change for my son and how it's helped my clients' children too. I'll outline what the difference is between my approach to autism and developmental delay, and how you may have tried to solve the problem in the past to help your child, and why this may not have worked. So you may have tried to help your child by engaging in an NHS or private speech and language therapist. But speech and language therapy does not work for autistic children. It was designed to help children with speech disorders who struggle with certain sounds. So this is why at speech and language therapy appointments, children are spending hours to learn how to change the shape of their mouth so that they can say different sounds. But autistic children often used to speak and then they stop. Or they say no words all year round and then unexpectedly say a complicated word like dinosaur. I believe autistic kids already have all of the words inside of them, and they just need a method which resets their nervous system to help them to start speaking. You may have tried to help your child in the past by using a private ABA therapist, but again, you saw minimal improvement in your child's symptoms. And this is because ABA therapy uses reward and reinforcement to encourage neurotypical behaviors. So it encourages masking, and it doesn't really heal your child from the inside out. So even if your child's behavior did change through the ABA therapy sessions, it may not have felt like true progress because your child is just doing this for a short-term reward and it's not a real true improvement in their symptoms. You may have tried in the past to use homeopathy, but again, you saw minimal improvement in your child's symptoms. And this is because homeopathy is often hit and miss. Most homeopaths never tell you what's in their glass bottles, just that it's natural. And clinical research trials that show that homeopathy performs no better than placebos for autistic kids in helping them in their development. Also, please don't believe homeopaths when they tell you that because what's in their bottle is all natural, it can't possibly cause any side effects. That doesn't make any sense. Lead is a completely naturally occurring metal found in the Earth's crust, and despite being completely natural, it can cause learning disabilities, mood disorders, kidney damage, and more negative consequences. Eggs are also completely natural and can be fine for most children and life-threatening for others. So homeopathy is often hit and miss and performs no better than a placebo in clinical research trials in helping autistic kids to meet their milestones. But before we get started breaking down the 7-step plan, I'll address the question, if my approach is so good, why is it not available on the NHS? And to be honest, I don't know why it's not available on the NHS or taught to NHS professionals. But there are lots of treatments that work that aren't available on the NHS. For example, chiropractic treatment works, but it's not available on the NHS. There's no mention of intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating as a treatment for obesity on the NHS website, even though it's free, it's effective, and supported by lots of different scientific research papers. My approach is all from evidence-based research. My #1 best-selling book, Unlock Autism, has over 117 scientific journal references supporting the 7-step autism action plan. My approach is all evidence-based. My TED Talk has over 44 scientific journal references. And I'm qualified to evaluate those journals because of my research background at university, where I won the Clinical Research Prize in 2013 at the University of Bristol for my independent research into student learning styles. And the big difference between my approach and other therapies is that I address the causes of autism. Autism is not just genetic, it's epigenetic. Epigenetics means that genes can switch on and off depending on the environmental inputs to that child. For example, an individual may have a gene for obesity, but if they are eating a healthy diet every day and not overeating, then that obesity gene will not be switched on. But if that individual overeats just a little bit, they are more prone to being overweight compared to other people who are eating a similar diet as they have that obesity gene. So the environment is very important, and it's something that we can control for our children, which is why an autism regression is very common for autistic children. And I know it's very common for this group of parents as well, where children are born with no autism symptoms at all, with a great appetite, great eye contact, and even speech. Then something has changed in their environment and they lose all of those skills. It's not genetic, it's epigenetic. And that explains why the rates of autism and its severity of symptoms are rising in this generation compared to previous generations. It's not just being diagnosed more, something in the environment has changed. Just like how the rates of food allergies in children have risen more in this generation compared to our generation and our parents' generation. Something in the environment has changed, which is causing this rise in rate and the rise in the severity of symptoms. My long-term vision is to show parents everywhere that autism works like a dimmer switch. With the right changes, symptoms can fade down and a child's true potential can light up. So rethinking of autism symptoms to be like a dimmer switch. My 7-step autism action plan addresses the biological causes of autism. It aims to heal a child from the inside so they're able to learn new skills faster. But before I go into these details, here are the options for working with me to personalize this plan for your child. So I offer 2 programs, a group program and a one-to-one. The vast majority of parents I work with, and like nearly every testimonial you'll hear today, is from the group program. The next group program is going to start in 6 weeks' time in January. And it's a group program, and the total cost is £5,000. And it's really, really, really effective. Well, I've got 6 spaces left for January. 4 spaces have already been taken. But, there's also going to be some in-the-room bonuses that I'll go through at the end if you want to get this transformation for your child by working with me. You can also WhatsApp me the word brochure, and you can see these program options in detail. Or you can email hello@autismbrainempowerment.com and ask for a brochure. So if you want to work with me to help your child become more confident, conversational, and calmer within 12 months, and often sooner, those are the options. And I have way more testimonials later after going into the plan, but just a few now. Raisa Ali, her son was 9 years old when he joined the program. He was verbal, he was conversational, but he really struggled with relationships. He was hyperactive, lashed out at people, and was very anxious. And she says after 6 weeks of doing the program, he was less hyperactive, his anxiety decreased, and was willing to try new foods. He started becoming hardworking and confident in class. He started putting his hand up in class, and he started to walk to school by himself for the first time ever, which he never was able to do because he usually had so much anxiety. Yasmin Hassan, her son was 5 years old when he joined the program. He just used to say like one word, and after 3.5 months, he became conversational. If you want to watch the full video tutorial testimonials, if you WhatsApp me the word testimonials, you'll get those videos. But we'll go into each of these case studies later as well. So yeah, WhatsApp me the word testimonials, and you'll be sent the full YouTube playlist showing the full length videos from Yasmin, Raisa, and more. You can also WhatsApp me the word meeting if you want to book a meeting with me, if you think you'd benefit from working with me for this plan for your child. And that's from the WhatsApp conversation if you WhatsApp me the word meeting. So now here are the 7 steps. So we'll go into each step one by one and what each of these means and how I personalize it for kids on the program. But step 1 is optimize oxytocin. Step 2 is break down blood. Step 3 is grasp the gut-brain bond. Step 4, take down toxins. Step 5, solve with supplements. Step 6, charge cerebellum. Step 7 is empower emotions. And again, if you want a summary copy of these slides, just WhatsApp me the word slides with an S at the end, and you'll be given these slides, a summary copy of these slides. So if you follow the 7-step program, and I'm gonna go break it down what each of these means in a second. But if you follow this program for your child for at least 12 months, you will see a huge reduction in symptoms for your child. Your non-verbal child can become conversational. your child will begin to eat a balanced diet. Their sleep will improve, and they'll no longer always be so anxious or so aggressive. And your child's emotional intelligence will develop. So let's go into each of these steps one by one. Step 1 is optimize oxytocin. So this is the first step of the plan, and it aims to boost your child's oxytocin levels in their body. So oxytocin is a very, very powerful hormone, and it's famously called the love hormone. So when this hormone floods your child's brain, it helps regulate their emotional responses and their pro-social behaviors. So it increases their trust, their empathy, their gazing, and positive memories. It can also increase, it also has a role in improving social skills, mind reading, social memory, so improving general emotional intelligence and social intelligence. It also has a really important role in facilitating all new learning for humans. So it helps people learn new skills, which is often what autistic kids are struggling with, to learn new skills. Oxytocin also helps regulate anxiety and pain perception, which is something that your autistic child is likely to be struggling with anxiety and with recognizing when they're in pain. So step 1 will be to work with the child with strategies in helping to boost their oxytocin hormone levels. Step 2 is break down blood. So often there are other reasons other than autism to explain your child's symptoms. For example, some vitamin or mineral deficiency or an autoimmune disorder. And the best way to eliminate this cause is to get a blood test done for your child to test for certain things. So if your child's blood test shows that they lack something or has an unusual profile, we can fix that to make them healthier. And this is part of healing your child from the inside to help them to learn new skills faster. So on my program, there's a list of biomarkers that I would ask parents to test to organize a blood test for, which will affect your child's brain development and physical health. So with this step, I usually get two types of parents. I get one type of parent who will tell me that, yes, my child has all of these severe symptoms from autism, but they've never had a blood test before, which is kind of shocking. No, it's not shocking because I know the NHS system, but it's kind of a massive letdown because your child has all of these symptoms and no one's ever even done a blood test for them. And then I get another type of parent who says, my child has had many blood tests before and they've always come back normal. And to that type of parent, I always say, you've never had a blood test like the one I'm asking you to do, because I look at everything through an autism specific lens. So everything is very autism specific. If there are questions on this, I can take it at the end, but you can write it down in chat. What should be showing in a healthy blood test report? So it's like a list of biomarkers, which is very specific to autism. So it's a very large list, but you can get it done at your GP. But if I just give you one example, because like I said, it's a very large list, and I'm happy to go into that at the end. Like one of them is like omega-3. So children with autism are more likely to have an omega-3 index of less than 1% or less than 3%. And it should be between 8 to 12%. So that's something that you can find out from a blood test, and you can absolutely increase that and improve that. But the blood test also goes into the very famous FRAP test, which is coming up since Donald Trump spoke about it with Luca Warren. It includes if they're learning if they have any allergies from the environment. So it depends on I can't really speak for private medical insurance because I don't know what your policy on. Yeah, I'll go into that at the end. But everything else, like if because I'm assuming you're medical because you're asking that question. So like eosinophils, iron, um, there's a big list, thyroid. I've had a child where the parent was told they had, obviously they had autism, but they through doing this test, it found out that they had hyperthyroidism, and hyperthyroidism was making their aggression worse, was making their sleep worse, was making their hyperactivity worse, was making their meltdowns worse. And then doing a blood test discovered that, and testing the thyroid and the other biomarkers that are on this step, discovered that for the parent and discovered that for the healthcare authorities. They repeated the test 4 times every 2 months. Each time showed he had hypothyroidism. And then when they were able to treat that, it decreased the severity of his symptoms. So there's a lot to this, and Aisha, I'm happy to take questions at the end as well. Step 3 is grasp the gut-brain bond. The gut microbiome is so important to all humans. So the gut microbiome is often referred to as the newest discovered organ in the human body since 2007. The human gut microbiome is made up of 10 to 100 trillion microbial cells within the gastrointestinal tract. And the composition and diversity of the microorganisms living in the gut has been found to influence human health in many ways. But there are hundreds of studies, including from Harvard Medical School and from MIT, which have found a distinctive gut microbiome pattern in children with autism, where children with autism are more likely to have changes in their gut, including levels of leaky, including more likely to have a leaky gut, which is small holes in their gut wall. They're more likely to have a certain level, higher number of like endotoxins and inflammatory cells in their gut. And my program focuses on strategies on how to heal your child's gut and their gut wall. Nina, if you WhatsApp me the word meeting, you'll get that. As your child's gut health is intrinsically linked to their brain health. So optimizing your child's gut will mean an intellectual benefit to your child, benefiting their speech. It can help a non-verbal child start to have words. And it can help regulate your child's mood and their anxious or aggressive responses. And it can help regulate your child's sleep-wake cycle. And in this step, I also teach parents techniques on how to expand your child's diet, techniques like food chaining, branching, exposures, and many more to expand your child's diet so they start to accept more food variety. And this is a particularly important step if your child has a really limited diet. So what I found so it's not just what I found, like the vast majority of scientific literature says that 1 in 2 children of autism will also have gut issues. So it may be a history of constipation, diarrhea, reflux, fussy eating, anything like that. But when they present to the GP will just treat that as an isolated thing. They will they'll say, okay, if your child has constipation, here are some laxatives, which it's really not good to be on long term. It's actually damaging to your and increases the risk of a leaky gut by being on laxatives long term. And they'll just look at everything in silo, and they're not looking at everything from autism specific lens of, okay, let's just treat the constipation, not thinking that long term this is making the child worse. It's going to decrease their understanding. So I can't really go into all of the strategies now, Aisha, but I can take that question at the end. So like I said, like the vast majority of GPs will just treat it as a silo, and they will just give you a prescription for laxatives, and they won't really look at it as an autism specific lens of, okay, is it really healthy for this child to be on laxatives for the next 1 or 2 years on and off, because it's worsening their understanding of language. So they're not, their behavior is going to get worse, everything's going to get worse. So it's looking at everything through a silo, which isn't, this program is very autism specific. So that's a big distinction. Step 4 is take down toxins. So there's so many hidden chemicals in your child's environment which will affect the development of your child's brain. So in the modern world, we don't even realize how many chemicals we are surrounded with. And these chemicals are filled with heavy metals, which have become our household staples. So there's a huge amount of chemicals in our modern world that we don't even consider them as chemicals in our mind. And these modern chemicals, even at a low dose, can affect how your child's organ functions, their hormone levels, and their brain health. So step 4 is is take down toxins, because autistic children often have a lower potential to detoxify their bodies. So therefore, autistic children will often have a higher concentration of heavy metals inside of their bodies compared to neurotypical children, which will affect your child's brain health. So when you say, Abba, you said what kind of chemicals, these are all in household products. So even like the hand wash, ultra high processed food, all of those chemicals can, for autistic kids, is more likely to build up in their bodies, and it will have a decrease, like a worsening effect on their brain health in general. But there's been so much scientific literature which says that autistic kids have a higher concentration of heavy metals inside of them compared to neurotypical children. So a systematic review, which is a research paper which evaluates the findings of lots of different research papers, found that children with autism have higher concentrations of cadmium, lead, arsenic, and mercury in their bodies compared to healthy control groups. And these heavy metals are all coming from the child's environment, which isn't being detoxified and removed by their bodies. So it's just building up. So in this step, I focus on completely natural food-based strategies to support your child's 4 organs of detoxification. So their gut, their liver, their kidneys, and their skin, which is how we get toxins out of our body. I also focus on strategies on changing your child's environment to prevent further heavy metals from entering their bodies. And with each detoxification step, you will see a marked improvement in your child's behavior, communication, and engagement. So again, WhatsApp me the word meeting if you feel like you would benefit from working with me with this plan for your child. You can book a meeting with me if you WhatsApp me the word meeting. Step 5 is solve with supplements. So there are certain high quality supplements that if a child takes every day, it does improve their physical health, their brain health, and their sleep. So once a child's gut is functioning better and their 4 organs of detoxification are working better, they can then better absorb any supplements that you give that child. So just in case your child isn't eating everything that they need to optimize their physical growth and their brain health, supplementation can be very effective and will usually have very few side effects, if any. It can take some time, but this step is also very heavily linked to the blood test step. So depending on what your child's blood test results will guide this step. So in this step, there will be a personalized evaluation process of which supplements will be best for your child and selecting them based on the type of mechanism that you're trying to get for your child, like speech or focus or sleep. Step 6 is charge the cerebellum. So there's an area in your child's brain called the cerebellum. It's a part of the brain at the back of the skull. So it's like here. The cerebellum makes up only 10% of the size of the brain, but it has 80% of the brain's connections within it. And that's why the cerebellum is often called the brain's brain. The cerebellum learns by having the skills and processes that happen without us having to think. Unfortunately for autistic individuals, their cerebellum is typically smaller in size compared to neurotypical individuals. And the cerebellum is part of the brain which helps with movement and thinking. So having a smaller cerebellum will cause problems with movement, balance, and thinking skills. It can also affect how well a person can pay attention, use language, or handle their emotions. And these are all skills that your autistic child will likely to be struggling with. But neuroplasticity means that a person can change the brain they currently have with an intentional practice. So just like how a person can change the shape of their biceps with an intentional diet and exercise, we all have the potential to change the shape of our brains and increase the size of our cerebellum. And this process is called neuroplasticity. So in this part of the process is where I coach parents on specific strategies and exercises to build the size of their child's cerebellum. It will take time and consistency, but with practice, your child's cerebellum will grow, which will mean their movements will become less clumsy. It will improve how fast they can think. improve their balance, their attention, their language ability, how well they can handle emotions, how well they can hold a pen and write their name, their handwriting, their sports ability. It really improves everything. Everything just becomes easier, which is some of the things that the cerebellum, the brain's brain, is in charge of. In this step, I also teach about retained primitive reflexes, how they are more common in autistic kids, and how to integrate them at home. That's also part of this step as well. Step 7, empower emotions. This is the final step to help educate your autistic children in emotional literacy skills. Emotional literacy, like all skills, is something that can be taught and learned. Harvard University's longest ever study, so 80 plus years on health and human happiness, shows that the person who has the most social connections, informally and formally, these relationships are all protected for a person's physical health and their brain health. But sadly, a typical autistic person will likely struggle with friendships and relationships. An autistic individual is 4 times more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, or bipolar disorder compared to neurotypical individuals. So will struggle with their human connections, which is so protective for brain health and their physical health. And for me, when I learned about that statistic, because my son was on the autism spectrum, boys, if they are, if they get depressed, they're far more likely to just commit suicide compared to girls. So, autistic kids are 4 times more likely to get depression in their lives, and that really scared me into doing something for my child. So in my last step, once your child's able to learn better, we implement strategies and techniques to improve your child's emotional literacy and develop their emotional intelligence, something that will benefit your child their whole life. So that takes me to the end of the 7 steps. I'll go through testimonials in a second, but if you follow each of these steps in order consistently for a period of 12 months, you will see a big difference in your child. That being said, I know for many parents, this is difficult to follow. Without support, without additional knowledge, without strategies, it is difficult. So over the next 5 minutes, just for those who are interested, I'll be sharing a bit more about my 6-month program where I am your expert cheerleader and I support you in implementing this whole process for your child, and you will see great results. These are parents who aligned to my core values and the transformation of this program, their families.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would recommend this for any autistic child because it's worked. It really has. And I've learned so much throughout this program. And I mean, I know how anxious you can be as a parent. Seeking help for your child because you don't know if it's going to be the right thing for them or if it's actually going to work. But this program has worked for my son. He's a different person. He's himself now. He's able to talk about his emotions. He's much more confident. He can concentrate now in school. And all on his own, he's just it's magical how he's just doing everything on his own. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the program to everyone, any parent with an autistic child.
So very sadly, we spoke about it at the beginning, so I won't go through it again. But her son was 9 years old when he joined the program. Started off very anxious, hyperactive, wouldn't sleep, lashes out a lot of people, wouldn't really focus at school, but had a great potential. And towards, even just in 6 weeks, she said he was less hyperactive, less anxious, started walking to school by himself, which he usually was so anxious to do. So I'm very, very happy for her. Was to start communicating her needs and speaking sentences, decrease her hand flapping and tiptoe walking, which she does when she's excited, and increase her engagement generally, potty train her outside the home, and to stop laughing when she's tired like she currently does. So how did she meet these goals? Has she met these goals? What would you say?
I would say definitely she has met most of the goals. The way of communication, she is trying to communicate at the moment. She is trying to tell me what she wants. So I'm really happy about that.
How does she do that?
Yeah, if she wants anything, she comes to me, grabs my hand, mostly with her mom, I would say, grabs her finger, takes her, and then if we don't move and we say, oh, okay, what do you want now? You want anything? Then she goes, she would not immediately respond, but when we say, I want, then she goes, okay, I want cookie, I want something else.
Okay, so the whole video is available on YouTube, but so happy for this family. So they have a 7-year-old daughter. Before joining the program, she was nonverbal. Like the only word she would have is nursery rhymes, which she would say to herself, would never say on demand, and that's it. Like she would just kind of sing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and nothing else. She was also had chronic constipation, laughed so much at night, wouldn't sleep, had really bad eye contact, tiptoe walking and hand flapping. And the doctors just told them that's just autism. They didn't really help. 6 months later, like even just within 2 months later, she started speaking words. 6 months later, she can now say meaningful sentences like, I want cookie, I am sad. She is now has the content, like she now has understanding. She can concentrate in school and she can write her ABCs, count to 20, focus and learn quickly. Her constipation is completely gone. She sleeps through the night. Her stimming has massively reduced. She gives warm eye contact, says assalamu alaikum to family, and honestly, it's so lovely. And in this video, the mum explained, like mum says that, when, like she said in the program, like I finally know what my daughter's voice sounds like. That's the kind of transformation this family got from the 7-step autism action plan. Would you recommend this program for other parents?
100%. I would 100% recommend. So your program is quite comprehensive as well. So it's been about gut health, diet changes, detoxification, everything. But it's also helped me research better as well and pick up more things as well that I can help with Hamad. So your chapter on charging the cerebellum, it prepared me to go and do more research and learn better and adapt things to what works for Hamad as well. So, and to be honest, your program sort of, because some things became easier with us, we can now then do a lot more things. Yeah. So because I was so tired, so overwhelmed, I couldn't take you for basketball, for example. I can do that now. So amazing. It's just been a very good, comprehensive, well-structured program to follow and broken down nicely, bit by bit. So you're not overwhelmed. We're not making the changes all in one day. We're slowly making the changes. And then as we made it so slowly as well, it's now just part of our life.
So Dr. Kusum Daya has, so her son has autism and ADHD. So she had both. She's a dentist and her husband's a medical doctor, and her son started showing symptoms at 18 months old. And they decided at 18 months old, the NHS is rubbish for helping children for autism. So we are going to move to Dubai and put him in an intervention center. So from 18 months to 4.5 years old, he received daily speech and language therapy, daily ABA therapy, daily occupational therapy, sensory integration therapy, and everything. And from 18 months to 4.5 years old, despite receiving daily therapy at an early age, he was still nonverbal, and he had just been prescribed antipsychotic drugs for his ADHD. Because his behavior was just so bad. He was eloping, doing dangerous things, would not sleep. And what I really liked about working with this mum was that I could see on our first call, she was so drained. A few months later, there was light in her face again. Like there was a brightness because her son was sleeping. And she says at the end, like in the full video tutorial, video testimonial, that he's sleeping 11 hours at night now and completely off his ADHD medication. He now recognizes his grandfather and plays with his grandfather, where before he only really interacted with his mum and dad. you know, everything just became easier. Like like I remember after a few months of working with her, she said her son's behavior used to be so bad, she'd have to take taxis everywhere because she'd have to sit in the back seat with him because he can get out of his car seat and he'd leave. And then after a few months of working with me, he was now calmed down dramatically. And she said, like, you've already changed my life because I can now drive again. And I was so happy for her, so happy for her. And yeah, so that's just,
You know, if you can join the course and go for it, don't delay. You know, I made my istikhara before I joined the course and then I went forward. That was my main push towards going forward because I knew that that course was the answer to my prayers.
so Gemma and Nessa from Coventry, her son was 7 years old when he joined the program. He struggled massively with aggression. So he would lash out at his cousins, had very poor focus in school. You know, he had bad sleep. He had digestive issues like nausea, belching, tummy issues. And within 3 months, she joined my June group program and we did a lot of the detoxes in the summer holidays. And in September, she was like, he can write his name now. So he never was able to write his name. And it's quite a long name too. He was never able to write his name at all. And, you know, year one, year R1, 2, he never was able to. And then when he started year 3, after doing all the detoxes in the program, he was now conversational. He was now had that awareness, that engagement of what's around him. And he could write his name. And honestly, she was over the moon. She recommended doing like some sort of like istikhara prayer, which is like a prayer, and that's when she decided to do it for her son. But yeah, I'm very, very happy to work with family as well. I remember we had a conversation in the middle of the program where I said if we're in 6 weeks, he'd made such a breakthrough with his sleep, with speaking sentences, with you know, his being less hyperactive and improving his focus. And I said to you, if I told you 6 weeks ago that in 6 weeks your son will be less hyperactive, will be sleeping the whole night, will be speaking sentences, and will not always be wetting the bed, you wouldn't have believed me, and then you just laughed. Like, yeah, that's so true. You would never have believed you'd have this transformation in 6 weeks. Yeah, you did say that. So you have hope now finally for your son, and you feel like you found a solution for him because he's made so much. He's made a breakthrough in 2 months. So over the moon for Sue Sallow. So she had 4 kids, and the 3rd child had severe autism. So he was 7 years old. He used to sleep from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. every night, and then just stay awake until 7 a.m. And then at 7 a.m. he'd be a bit tired, but now he needs to wake up for school. He'd wet the bed every single night. He was so hyperactive and he verbally stimmed. So he used, according to the mum, he used to make the sound for 15 hours a day. And so very, very noisy. He also, I'll go for your question at the end, but he was, you know, really, really noisy. He wet the bed every single night and just was completely in his own world. And the fastest transformation I've ever done on this program, 6 weeks later, he's sleeping the whole night. He's you know, he's speaking in sentences. So she says in the video, he now says stuff like, I want green apple. She goes, he even knows what apple he wants, a green one. And this boy was non-verbal before. And what I also like about this video testimonial, so again, if you WhatsApp me the word testimonials, you'll get this playlist. She says in the video that he was so hyperactive, like jumping up and down all the time. She had no idea that he could even read. So when I was on a video call with her, he was sat down next to her and was reading, and she goes, I didn't even know he knew how to read because he was so hyperactive before. So again, really, really happy for the whole family. Maruta said, any patients with major concern with selective mutism? Absolutely. So I've had that as well. So selective mutism is mostly an anxiety response. So like relaxing their nervous system will help with that. So yeah, I've worked with children like that as well. So if you WhatsApp me the word meeting, if you want to work with me on the 7-step program, I can talk to you more about that. Just finished our group program. He's towards the end of it.
Can you describe what he was like before he started the program?
Before he started the program, Ismail was not talking much, just saying words, so not much sentences. Now he's done the course, he's talking much more. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Obviously, his speech is still getting there. Rome wasn't built in a day or anything, but he is more conversational, and he's more. He's letting me know what he wants.
Sharing
He's
his
like, yeah, he's even sharing actually as well. He never used to share. I know that the understanding part of what I'm saying, he's getting it more. You know what I mean? He understands me more. He's much more calmer through the process as well. He's not as like, what's what I'm looking for? Yeah, no, not too much aggression. No.
So before he was more like in his own world, and now he has more awareness, and
He's more aware. Yes, definitely more aware. Before, when he was in reception, if I'm not mistaken, the teacher would have to escort him out of the class, you see, to bring him to me.
Yeah.
With his stuff and bags and stuff. Now, Smile, he gets his bag and he comes to me.
So he's more independent as well.
Yeah, very independent.
Yeah, so over the moon for his family. This YouTube video testimonial is called Transformation in 3.5 months, because the transformation she's describing, where he went from one word to conversational, not independent, not sharing, very stubborn, to now not stubborn. He can hear the word no and not have a meltdown. He's speaking. She even says in the video as well that because his behavior's improved so much, the school said, does he want to do an art club at school? And they said, she goes, they never would have said that before because his behavior was so bad. And now his behavior's improved. And that video testimonial is called Transformation in 3.5 months, because this whole transformation, her son got it in 3.5 months. So really happy for her whole family.
Before we started the program, he was very hyperactive, very difficult to manage outside of the home. He was due to start reception as we started the program, so we as parents were very nervous about would he fit in. He didn't spend any time in the classroom. He was still quite hyperactive, no focus, nothing for lunch, did not touch anything in the canteen, in the dinner hall. He didn't spend any time in the canteen. We sent him back after Christmas, having done some of the detoxes of your program. And the words of the teacher was, is this the same child? A completely different child. So that was really nice for us to hear. So by the 4 weeks, 4 weeks had passed. So we'd changed his diet, we'd implemented so many changes. And by 4 weeks, we started to see that he was just settling in better and he was so much more manageable. And his understanding got so much better. But it never felt like there was a distance. I think my boy very well, because I've been sharing videos of any achievement he's made, anything that he's doing that's new. I'll send you videos of that, so you get to see the progress all the time. We felt like the minute we invested in our family, it's come back tenfold. So we've never felt like it was not worth it. I would recommend it to any parent that wants to do better for their child, who wants to unlock their potential. As a mum, you know what your child is capable of and what their potential is. I just wanted to know what the key was to unlock that, and I've got that now with all the information that you've shared with me. And I do recommend it for all mums generally, and then a mother of an autistic child 100%.
Yeah, so over the moon for Aisha as well. Sorry for Sabahat as well. She described it really well. But I remember her saying, after 4 weeks, we already felt like it was worth the investment, and that every time she invests in her family, it comes back tenfold. And I was really, really, really happy for her. Her son also had OCD symptoms, so he would he would switch the switch on and off, play the light switch on and off, on and off, on and off. And she said before doing the program at her sister's wedding, she had to stay upstairs because he was just just turning the switch on and off, and she could not she goes, I couldn't take him anywhere. Going to my in-laws' house, going to my parents' house, he would just turn the switch on and off so much that he wouldn't they couldn't do anything, they couldn't cook, they couldn't have a wedding. And she was like, okay, she felt so isolated. And now that's completely gone. His OCD symptoms are completely gone. He's so much more relaxed. And this was she did my program quite a while ago. Like she finished in January because she was in the no, she finished in February because she was in a September group program from last year. And she sent me videos of him. He's in the football team now. So it's, you know, over the moon. Like she's there, both mom and dad are really happy.
My son, who's autistic, and the solutions that, the things that you were saying kind of resonated with me a lot. Basically, everything that you were saying about autism and the solutions that you could use to help it and to reduce symptoms, basically, you know, it resonated a lot with me.
One of your big concerns, that's okay. One of your big concerns before you joined the program was he was not concentrating in his schoolwork. He wasn't doing very well at school. And now, what have the teachers said to you since we started working together in January? And what was his report like?
His focus has improved tenfold, a lot more. The teachers have said that since January. He's concentrating more on his work. I send him for classes, which he actually enjoys. He actually goes out, he doesn't make a fuss, so it's a setting again. So he would bring up a conversation, we'd just talk about it anywhere we go. So it's great. It's not a massive conversationalist, but it's improved a lot. He interacts a lot better. I mean, we've been on holiday and he was there playing with a few little boys. He actually was there playing by the stage. He got more involved. He's social interaction.
He's become like more engaged with life.
More
like,
engaged. I mean, that's it. You put it in a nutshell, haven't you, really?
Yeah,
You've summed it up. More engaged in life. That's it. I didn't feel pressurized from you. You know what I mean? To say, oh, this, you know, because sometimes you feel a bit guilty as a parent that you're not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But you don't give me that. You don't make me feel that way. Do you know?
I'm glad.
You know, just like you're there to help me and to assist and to help Isaac. And it came from a good place, and it definitely came from your heart.
Yeah, again, really, really happy for Indra and her family. So before doing the program, her 9-year-old son, he could talk, but he was like had selective mutism. So he wouldn't really talk that much. His older sister kind of hated him because she was like, he can talk, but he just doesn't want to. And he was doing really badly at school, really bad focus. She joined my January group program, and then the report that her son got from school this year said that and they didn't know he was doing this program, but it said, you know, he's been on an upward trajectory since January. What have you done since January? And yeah, so again, over the moon for this family. He's so happy now. He's got friends now. He actually goes like and she says in a video as well, like the neighbors come and they ask him to play football, and they would never do that before, and he'd never go for football before, but now he is. So he's just happier and more engaged with life and doing better at school.
So before we started, when we had our consultation, I think I gave you a list of our objectives for him. This is what we wanted to see. Even when I was giving it to you, I never believed we would actually achieve them. Like I just thought this sounds too good to be true. Because there was a lot of stuff on there. There was even beyond his behaviour. It was like I want him to sit down and learn with me and study with me and all this. I just didn't believe it was ever going to happen.
Why did you choose me to work with?
So we had the consultation with the Masterclass, and then we had a one-to-one after that. 2 reasons. One, I really enjoyed the book. I felt like a lot of points resonated with me. And it was a really positive message in that there's a lot you can do. Like kids may be born neurodivergent and differently, but there's a lot that is actually available to us to rewire that. Which was the first time I was reading a message like that on the subject of autism.
Yeah, kind of over the moon for this son. So the mum said at the beginning, before joining the program, she would start her day every day with her son kicking her. So as she's trying to get his school uniform on, he's hitting and kicking her, and he was just 5 years old. And she was like, you know, this has continued from the beginning. He's going to get stronger. He's getting taller. He's throwing things. He's very aggressive. We can't go anywhere with him, constantly running off. Towards the end and then at the end of the program, after doing the detoxes and stuff, she says she was so happy. And then she was like, now, like, when I take him out with his cousins to the park and I say it's time to go home, and no child wants to go home from the park, her son says we have to go home to rest. And she's like, you know, she goes, he's the best behaved now out of everyone. So her son was actually one of the only children on the program, the first child on the program who just had ADHD. So she says in her video, he didn't have autism, but he just had ADHD, and he just got this massive transformation, over the moon. And she said like after this, she felt like her life was a dream because he was so calm and he was sitting and reading with her, and she said that never would have happened before.
Another really good memory I have is that when you were doing the program, about 2 or 3 months into doing it with me, you said you had a relative come round, and the relative had her own son who was also a toddler, and the relative and then you were really hesitant about letting your daughter have a play date, and you didn't want people to realize anything about her. Husband said to you, oh no, we should let her have a play date, like she's come along so much. Your daughter was just sharing her toys, hugging the relatives that came round.
Actually, her bringing out her blocks, and she was not only sharing them, but she was kind of reading out the letters and the numbers, and then she was kind of pointing to the pictures and naming the animals. And then she was like, what nursery does she go to? You know, she's coming along so well, you know, even better. And I thought that feeling was just such a, I can't describe it, because I thought, oh my goodness, there I was thinking, oh, how is she going to get on? And then there's the cousin saying, what nursery does she go to? You know, I wouldn't mind putting my one into there because they must be doing an excellent job.
What's been the nursery's reaction?
So yeah, there's loads of testimonials. There's loads and loads of testimonials, but this mom actually said that you know, she was so hesitant about her child having a play date, and then you know she's just superseded everyone's expectations. This little girl also had a big sensory issue, so she would not wear anything on her legs. So she was only 2.5 years old when she did the program, and she just wanted to be in her nappy. She did not want to wear any trousers, you know, nothing on her legs. And then we did some interventions, and 2 weeks after doing the intervention, she was wearing tights. And she was like, you know, the nursery was so shocked, like, she's wearing tights today? Like they were just so used to her stripping down and just walking around in her nappy, and now she's wearing tights. So I'm so happy with all the kids in the program that it's life-changing.
He had just turned 3, and at that time he was verbal, but his communication would not make any sense. When we started the program, the speech therapist said to me, you should give him choices. And I was giving him choices from the start, but it was until this 5 months that he really started to understand what a choice is.
What the advice that speech language therapy gave you was to give him choices, but that wasn't really going to work for him because he had no understanding. So until you killed his gut, understanding came, and then he was able to take part and say what choice he wants and express his needs.
There was a point when we were totally oblivious to what he's up to, what he's even thinking. When I joined your program, he could not tell or could not know his feeling of hunger, whether he's hungry, whether he's thirsty. Once I remember I did not feed him anything for 8 hours. He did not ask for it. Whereas now, it's constant asking, oh, I want banana, oh, I want apple, I want grapes, I want bread. Whenever there has been an issue, a problem, you have been the first person that I've reached out to, rather than my mom, rather than even my partner. Oh, don't even talk about the GPs because they're completely useless. You've been the first person I've asked, oh, this is happening, what should I do? It's so important for a parent to have this support more than the child, because what parents go through is way too much than what the child is going through. Book is good, like you said. Book is good for the parents who are really up to it and want to do something just by reading the book. I don't know how many parents are there who will just read a book and implement it. But program is different because you're talking to a person, you're communicating, you're interacting. And again, you advise me of the breathing exercises, meditation, and all these things. They helped me. I healed, and once I healed myself, I could help my child as well.
So I'll make this the last testimonial because I know everyone's really anxious for Q&A, but there's even more. But I remember in this video testimonial, the mum tells a story about she has a newborn baby girl, and her son is 3 years old. She goes, when we brought the baby girl home, her son did not acknowledge him at all, like acknowledge the baby at all. And then she goes, the health visitor came to the home to check on the baby, and she told the health visitor, we've had a new baby in the home for 6 weeks, and my son hasn't even acknowledged her. And the health visitor said, oh, he's not going to acknowledge her. He's got autism. And she goes, and now he's playing with her. He's talking to her. They're friends now. And she's like, this transformation, like it really was like everyone just saying to her, it's not possible. And then it happened. It is possible. There's definitely things you can do to decrease the severity of your child's symptoms and help unlock their potential. But I saw there's loads. This woman, she's a 9-year-old. She's been doing things for him since he was 6, like interventions. And her husband did not want to do the program because he was like, we've tried so many things, nothing's going to work. And now he's like according to her, sorry, he's my biggest fan, because her son is like healthier, happier, engaging more, open to learning, no meltdowns, no reflux, no diarrhea, no stimming excessively. And it's all just in a few months of doing the program. So her daughter was really addicted to tablets. That's completely gone. Like they would have to have the second tablet on charge for her, because as soon as the one tablet died, she needed a second one straight away, because she'd be very aggressive and have a complete meltdown, and that's completely gone. Their child also really, really improved at school and at home. Again, her son, and just so much more. If you WhatsApp me the word testimonials, you'll be sent the full YouTube playlist. And I've also got lots of written testimonials on my website as well. So that takes me to the end of the 7 steps, but I'm going to do a Q&A now. I'm sure most of you have heard of things that you haven't heard before. So comment below on something you learned, something new, and that was useful today. And again, if you want a summary copy of these slides, WhatsApp me the word slides and you'll be sent a summary slides of this presentation. I'm going to share a bit more about the program, and then we'll do Q&A. So if you feel like having my support will be valuable, and you'll get the same transformations all of those parents get, and more parents have gotten. I do a group program and a one-on-one, but I would say like 99% of people and all the transformations you saw today, it's all from the group program. So I'll go for it. So if you WhatsApp me the word brochure, you'll get you'll get the support program options in detail, and then WhatsApp me the word meeting, and we can book a one-to-one meeting with me. So joining a one-to-one or group program with someone to keep you accountable, with support, expertise, a timeline, and parents who have other similar goals to you, means that you're going to be 70% more likely to reach your goals, be more motivated on your journey compared to parents who work individually. So you're far more likely to get the result for your child and transformation for your child. Acting now will live out the dreams you have for your child and your own family life, relieving everyone's stress. And I know many of us are like Black, Asian, minority, ethnic parents, and we view our children as a lifelong responsibility, whether they're 5, 15, 25, or even 40. And if you're the one managing their emotional meltdowns and putting them to sleep, helping them with their shoes, would you be able to do that when they're 15, 25, or even 40? And as my mum always said, if you're not going to invest in your children, what's the purpose of all your hard work? So the options to work with me are, so I'll just, because the big question I get is, what do you get from the group program? So what you get from the group program is that giant transformation that you saw all the other parents get who are all on the group program. But how it starts is that we do once you join the program, we do like a kickoff meeting, like an onboarding program, where you'll get a 90-minute one-to-one personalized program created for your child and the goals you have for your child. So you may have heard in the other testimonials, the other parents were saying, oh, we went through the goals, even as we were writing the goals, I never thought they were going to come true, or we met all the goals. They're talking about this 90-minute call that we had right at the beginning, and where we have 4, 5, or 6 goals for your child that you want them to achieve at the end of 6 months for you to consider this a giant success for your child. And then we map out a plan of how to get there. And I'm very, very honest. I'm very, very realistic. And I tell you exactly, based on all the experience I've got with lots of other children, what the likelihood and the outcome will be, and the process will be for your child. So everyone gets that call, one-to-one 90-minute call, even if they're on the group program, because the program, whether you're on the group program or one-to-one, it's individualized for your child. The only difference, and if you have any questions about your child, that's delivered to me one-to-one, whether you're on the group program or on the one-to-one, all everything to do with your child is done one-to-one with me. The only thing that's done as a group is the live teaching of the 7-step program is done as a group. And that, I would say, is really beneficial, because when a parent sees another parent has gotten a great result from doing this change, they are far more likely to be consistent with that change for themselves and for their child, and they'll get the great result too. So it's very motivating. It's a very nice group of like-minded parents who are all on the exact same journey for their child. And you'll learn a lot through the program because it's very, very comprehensive. You'll get access to me the entire time for troubleshooting and personalization, live teaching, the blood test results, any other test results you'll get a one-to-one debrief from that. And you'll get a textbook on how to do the program as well. And the next program is starting in January, so in 6 weeks' time. There's 6 spaces left for January, and 4 spaces have already been taken. If you want to get started with me, WhatsApp me the word meeting to book that one-to-one meeting. The first 2 families who WhatsApp me the word deposit to pay the £250 deposit for the program, they'll get 2 extra one-to-one calls with me as well, to be taken anytime during a 6-month program. And you'll also get a free digital copy of my book, Unlock Autism, as well, if you sign up by WhatsApp me the word deposit and being the first 2 people to sign up. So let me ask, what's the value of this transformation for you and for your child? Is it worth trying for? And what will be the risk to you and your child's future if you don't try? And how many more years of your child's brain plasticity are you prepared to waste waiting for the NHS or the school to help? What help are you waiting for from the NHS or schools that you haven't already tried? And if what you've tried already to help your child, so the speech and language therapy, the SEND support school, hasn't really helped your child make any progress towards their milestones, isn't it time to try something different? If you want this outcome urgently for your child, this program is you. If you want a personalized program, this program's for you. If you want a huge relief from your stress, a huge improvement and results within 6 months, this program is for you. If you have a partner at home, it's essential that both of you are on board. So both parents need to attend the initial consultation meeting to determine if the program is suitable for your child. And that's even the case if you typically make all autism care decisions, because this is a financial commitment as well. So it's important for both parents to be involved from the start, unless you're financially independent and make the finance decisions yourself as well. So how to sign up, WhatsApp me the word deposit if you want to sign up straight away. That £250 deposit will be knocked off the choice of the program that you do. If you want to book a consultation or meeting to get started, just WhatsApp me the word meeting and you'll book that in.